to the wonderful Reverend Camilla Hall Sharp. To start off, can you just introduce yourself? Tell me who you are.
Greetings. I am Reverend Camilla Hall Sharp, daughter of Loretta, who is the daughter of Thelma. I am the co-pastor of the Gathering, a Womanist Church in Dallas. I am also a PhD candidate at Bright Divinity School and a mother of a, I don't know the word, I'm gonna say womanish today, womanish daughter, an 11-year-old daughter. I can go on. I can give all kind of descriptions, but that's good enough.
That's wonderful. Actually, I want to ask, are you one of those people who has always felt in your heart that you were going to be a pastor? Or how did that journey happen?
Absolutely not. Never wanted to be a pastor. My story is from the time I was 7, I always wanted to be a lawyer. So everything I did growing up from high school through college was about becoming a lawyer. And that's what I did. I went to undergrad at Florida A&M University, got a degree in business economics, and went straight to law school in Indiana, in Bloomington. And then I practiced law. And struggled with a call. Initially, I was like, I'm not going back to school because I've been in school my whole life. I went, and I was like, I didn't want to do that. But I did eventually go to seminary at Memphis Theological Seminary, initially because I was not going to preach, okay? I was just getting a master's in arts and religion. And then I felt, after some praying and fasting and struggling and fighting, I heard my call to preach, and so I switched to the Masters of Divinity. And so that's when I switched to the preaching track. And even then, it was still no desire to become a pastor. I always just wanted to work at a church. I work with the church, but not pastor. That wasn't my desire at all. Yet here we are. But I wouldn't give it up for the world because I love the people I pastor. I have the pleasure of pastoring some of the most amazing human beings on earth. And so my pastoring experience is a lot more pleasurable than a lot of other people's, I'll be honest. Because I have pastor friends. So I know sometimes it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not always glory, but I enjoy pastoring, and I didn't think I would, but here we are.
And I love having you as my pastor.
And I see, like I said, I pastor some of the most amazing human beings on earth.
Okay, and so I know that you talked about having pastor friends, and a lot of times it's not the easiest role to play or vocation to have. So I'm curious about how you take care of yourself. What are some mental health practices or spiritual practices or any rituals or resources that have been helpful for you?
Yeah, I take self-care very seriously. My mother died when I was 23 years old from breast cancer. And she was for the people. She worked all the time for the people, to the point that she was working so much she would never go see the doctor. And so she had cancer in her body for probably over a year and knew it, but didn't go to the doctor. So by the time she did go, it was too late. So I promised myself that I would not let, and my joke is, I will not let y'all kill me. And y'all is the church, my family, the academy, and anybody else. I do the work, but I'm not gonna let to the point of my death. And so each morning, because I also have rheumatoid arthritis, so each day I start my day with yoga as a way of trying to stretch out my joints that as I get older keep cracking a little bit more. And so but also to just start my day with me, centering on me and just trying to clear my head and stuff like that. I also do a devotion every day where because I try to pair these Bible readings with different books. Right now I'm reading it's a devotional of Women in the Bible by Jennifer Brooks. Right here. Jennifer Benjamin Brooks. But I do different devotions at times, because sometimes my devotionals, I might be reading some from Howard Thurman, sometimes I might be reading Nikki Giovanni. read different things, but I try to do something every day, every morning, because just to center myself, and because of the work I do for, my PhD, it's very heavy lifting, and the work I do in the church is heavy lifting. So I try to center myself on something good. But I also believe in sitting down. So
Mm.
I will get on the couch at the end of the day and enjoy what I like to enjoy and just be. So that's something I do. But I also I believe in rituals. So like each day as I practice, as I start my day, it's usually also gonna be with either lighting of a candle or some type of essential oils, because I'm into scents. They shift my spirit, and music. Because sometimes, shifting from one thing to next uh can be rough. I'm running around doing this and be like, okay, and now I need to sit down and write something. So, trying to mentally shift yourself. And so the like music and the candles and things like that help me shift my spirit. And so those are things that I do. But what's also important to me is you have to have a tribe. And so I have my text groups of people, I have text groups, a couple text groups of other Black women who support me to the fullest. I also have other pastor friends who I have text groups with who support me to the fullest. But it's not just me, we support each other. But it's our thread can go from one end to the next. So from something extremely funny to something extremely, but it's very necessary in helping me. Um, and the other thing, because like right now, I'm at a point where the work, because I'm working, my dissertation is around survival, and I'm dealing a lot with rape and death and things like that. So violence and stuff
Mm.
that's heavy taxing on the spirit, not to mention the world we live in. And so I just like to see stuff that's gonna make me laugh at the end of the day. So when I sit down, and if I am gonna watch TV, it needs to be something funny. So I
Mm.
like to watch stuff that's gonna make me laugh, because I think laughter is nourishment to our souls.
Mm. That's beautiful. I love that. Nourishment to our souls. Hmm. Okay. So for our conversation today, we're focusing on the clergy-congregant relationship. And you talked about having a tribe and having like your text groups. So not too long ago, well, actually, it may have been a year ago, I was having a conversation with this pastor who was talking about how she had just moved to a small town, and it was hard to be in situations where she could establish relationships outside of her congregation, but she was looking for those experiences because she doesn't necessarily believe that her congregants are to be her friends,
Right.
because there has to be like a clear separation. um and so like we're talking, and so in a lot of ways I was like, oh wow, like it's good to be able to establish these boundaries and keep to these boundaries. Like I was really I admired that a lot. But then at the same time, I don't know, I was also a little wary because it kind of sounded like it was very strict. Like, for example, if she would go to a family and like have dinner with them, she was going to have dinner for a specific reason, talk about a specific thing, and it had to be like that, like no varying into anything else. Like she was very strict about those. And so I was, starting to wonder. I was like, well, yes, you want to have those boundaries, but at the same time, don't you also want to have a sense of connection and
Mhm.
community? And then that also
Mhm.
requires like some openness. And so I don't know, I'm just very curious about how you navigate, like, I think I've called this the clergy congregant relationship, and then the subtitle is boundaries and connections. So I'm curious about how you navigate boundaries and connections with relationships with congregants.
And I definitely understand the idea that you can't necessarily be quote unquote friends with your congregants, because sometimes there are difficult conversations that need to be had. But I'm also to believe that you can have difficult conversations even with people you're friends with. I think that idea is more of a stricter boundary, so that I guess it seems a little bit easier. But I think I have a different model period, because I believe in vulnerability. And
Mhm.
so being able to, because I tell people the truth about my experiences and what I'm doing. And so some of that sometimes may seem, but it's the truth. And these are things that I can connect with other people. And we can have community, because I believe in a more of a communal thing. Now I do agree, like there are certain things that, you probably don't need to be talking to your certain things that there may be some things that you do not need to have conversation around, but I still think that you can be communal and have real conversations about stuff and have real experiences and have relationship. I think building relationship is important, especially for pastors. Knowing, being able to know the people and know what they're going through, know their struggles, know their joys. It allows you to connect, but it also helps you to understand things of their gifts and just things that may help in the greater life of the church and the community. So I think it's still very important to be communal. So I kind of lean into the communal model a little bit more. It's a little bit different COVID than it was COVID, because I believed in having lunch with people, or dinner with people and talking, and we just trying to get to know people, and they know me, they know my family. We do activities together. So I feel like that, it's I have a more communal approach.
Mhm.
And at the same time, again, there are still certain things I still share with my tribe that may not be shared with the community. But it's important that you do have that space where it can be shared, where you're not holding everything, trying to hold everything to yourself in these boundaries and keep the people over there, because then you're carrying too much.
And what you're saying is making me think about I went to this like training for community organizers, and there was at one point we talked about the difference between public relationships and private relationships. I think that's what I know. I really struggled with that. I don't know. I think I really struggled with that, probably because I don't know, probably because in my mind I thought that the way they were describing the public relationships to me just seemed like, like I'm only developing this relationship with you because I want something specific from you, and then it's just going to be like this, like very I don't know. It just seemed very not even strict. I don't know, very rigid. Like I don't know. I struggled with it. But then I think that after I started building relationships with community organizers, and then being involved in a grassroots organization here, then it started to make more sense to me. So for example, with there's this community organizer who I was so excited when I got to meet his little 5-year-old daughter. Over Zoom, we're having a conversation and she pops her head in, and I'm like, oh hi. And we actually stopped and I got to talk to her for a bit. And so it's yes, this is a public relationship in terms of we are trying to we often use that term self-interest. We're trying to figure out what it is that brings you to this space, why you're coming here, where you're coming from, what you're interested in, and what goal you want to to see. So it's yes, we can still know things about each other's lives, each other's families, and all of that, but we're very mindful of our story and what has brought us here and what the task is. And so I was okay, that makes sense. Right. And so as you're talking, I'm drawing some of those connections. Now I know that at the gathering we talk about you call we're not really I don't know, we don't say it's not members or congregants,
ministry
partners. Right. Can you talk a little bit about that, the decision to say ministry partners?
Yeah, at the gathering we don't have ministry members, we have ministry partners, because we don't believe in a membership model. We have a non-hierarchical model at our church, so there's no senior pastor with co-pastors, and we believe that we are partnering with others and with God as we do this community. So our ministry partners are those who we partner with in the church, and our ministry partners at the gathering, they come to church regularly via virtually or in person. They give to support and they use their gifts, and so that's how they partner. But we also partner with organizations, other churches outside of our immediate ministry partners who are doing other work in the community, whether it's with working with unsheltered people or LGBTQIA, so different organizations who are already doing work, because we believe A, in doing the work, but B, that you don't always have to create the wheel. Sometimes the wheel is there, you just need to jump on and ride. And so we partner with other organizations to do some of the work that we're other people are doing that we're interested in working with. And so we believe like the partnership model is the best way to go. We decided that we didn't want, because we were trying to get away from this idea that you belong to something, that there's this thing, well, that I have to belong to a church. It's more of a, we belong to each other. We all belong, right? So if we're partnering, we're belonging to it. We're not connected to like, I belong to this building or I belong to this, but I belong to this community, but we're all part of the community. So that's why we're partnering and not members. And also partnership connotes the idea, the idea that you have work to do in it, and that you will take responsibility for some stuff in the community. Is how I feel. Is what I think also. Because we could be members of a bunch of organizations, and all you gotta do is send your check, but you don't actually have to do any work with it. Where we're really trying to get the idea that we're all really working with God to do something better.
That's beautiful. I love that.